Wait for that to push line. Oop, there we go. All right. And we're off. Except I did not just play the... there it is, the intro. Here we go, guys. Welcome back to Fifth Down Territory, presented by StadiumRant. Your two best hosts are here tonight. You know who it is. It's Louie and it's Blake at Bahuki, Montana, at BL Stewart 503. And we have some super grim news tonight, guys. I have been overtaken by Blake. So I officially live at the bottom now.
I started a week with there were a couple teams that I had like faith in week one and like just totally let me down, and I was like, all right, eyes on the ball now, and here we are. And I don't know exactly where Lamb and Shane sit, but we'll figure that out next week.
Yeah, so take your victory lap.
Shane had to lay low this week. What a coincidence!
I know. After that Cowboys L, you can't show up on live.
We have to try to take a second. Monumental upset that is. It's early in the year, but like, sheesh. And none of us had that one. That was the one that was towards the end. We were all like, lock, Cowboys blowout, Cowboys.
Yeah, we were just like moving on.
Except for Shane. Shane actually did. We all just have to acknowledge that Shane was like, this could be a trap game, but
it was like a trap game.
Cowboys.
So yeah, here's what we're gonna talk about real quick before we get into our picks. Is just like nothing is shaking out like we expected. So like Cardinals are not any chance in conversation for the worst team in the league. Like those boys humming.
They played hard in all of their games. Like,
why is Josh Dobbs good?
Yeah, they're not even they haven't started selling his jersey in their pro shop yet.
I did see that video. So that happened. The Jaguars don't look good. The Bears,
I got to give you.
We'll talk about my game.
We were all over the Jags preseason, and you're like, I don't know how I feel about these cornerbacks. And
I said, pump the brakes. The defense worried me. Trayvon,
you were on the money with that one,
and they just look so bad. Like there's this one play on defense where Peterson tries to do like a shell coverage up front, and then he drops all three guys back, and they just don't. They're not fast enough. And Tank just runs this like easy post, and he's wide open. It's just
he put the whole league on notice. And CJ Stroud, I saw an update today. He's currently the odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year. It's only week 3, but
he's 5th in the league in passing yards going into week 4. No interceptions yet.
He still hasn't turned it over yet, right?
He fumbled one in the first week, I think, or maybe against the Colts, but no interceptions yet.
Okay, that's still pretty impressive. That's hard to do in the NFL.
He's playing good. He's playing really good, like Pro Bowl caliber so far. So we'll see if that holds up. But yeah, I'm feeling good. But yeah, I want every Justin Fields MVP guy who was hating on me before the season started when I couldn't get on board. I want you in my DMs apologizing. I want Lamb to eat this. Trevor Lawrence is my MVP candidate.
Yep.
Before the season started,
big 2 weeks here coming up here for the Jags. They're in London. They're home team at Wembley against the Falcons this week, and then they play as the away team against the Bills in Tottenham next week. Mm-hmm. And they're at the away team, but they're going to have already be adjusted to the time change and whatnot. So these are a big couple weeks here for them.
Yeah, they've really got to get on time. So, but yeah, I would say what was your biggest takeaway from this last week, aside from, the Bills absolutely smoking the Commanders, which we'll talk about, but
I mean, they blew them out. And I mean, I feel like outside of Buffalo, nobody's really talking about it because of what Miami did. And honestly, rightfully so. They scored 10 touchdowns. That's absurd. That people take like quarters of a season to get that many. I think I saw a stat that's more than that. They scored more touchdowns on Sunday than 11 teams in the NFL have so far this season.
The Texans would be one of those.
Yep.
But
And yeah,
I think it just goes to show how much the
sorry,
underrated
one
Tua.
more thing. With that being said, Bills blowout, Dolphins blowout, game of the week coming up next week in Buffalo, and
So true.
yeah, they were, and I can't remember what the number was, but it doesn't happen very often where you get two teams both coming off of blowout wins that are in. It's like I want to say like the 10th or 11th time it's happened in NFL history, and so yeah, it's going to be a
It
big.
feels like a perfect setup for that Monday Night Football game that we all loved with the Rams and the Chiefs. Like this feels like it could be that, like just unstoppable scoring in prime time. Like,
Yep.
is it flexed right now? Like, when do they play?
I've had fun asking people what their score predictions for this one are, and you can make an argument for a lot of different permutations of that game.
It does not make sense to me that this game is not prime time. Flex.
This is a good conversation. I wanted to have this conversation about the flex scheduling. Apparently,
the Chiefs Jets out. Nobody wants to watch.
That's exactly why.
You're
right. Because of injuries, they happen. We see it, and apparently the flex scheduling doesn't begin until week 5 for Sunday Night Football.
Mistake.
And Monday Night Football will start week 12 for
Let's
flex.
also talk about why are they doing 2 games on Monday night? This last
you don't
week?
like it? See that I do like it personally. And
it's just like staggered kickoff times and everything just kind of throws me. And there's no like red zone option for Monday nights. Like you could do like a split view, but you're choosing what audio to listen to. Like I'd rather have like a highlight.
Couple of different things that I want to reply to. We'll stick with the Monday night thing first. You got to think about it over for the West Coast. They're three, and you're on Central Time. But like these in Eastern time, these games are kicking off 7:15 and 8:30. So West Coast time, like that's like for Monday Night Football, that's kicking off at like 3:15 and 4:30 p.m. Those aren't really night games over there. And I don't know. I like more football is better for fantasy, and there's also the possibility, kind of with what we're going to see with this Chiefs Jets game, you might get a dud Monday Night Football game, and then if you have 2 games going on, you're twice as likely to get at least one good game out of those.
That's valid. I mean, the Rams Bengals game wasn't good, so
I think it was. I think it was better than the Bucks Eagles game. I watched most of the Bucks Eagles game, and then it was low scoring. Most of the scoring happened at the end of the game. I watched like the end of the Bengals Rams game, and that part was the least exciting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from this week is not that the Dolphins offense is unstoppable, but that Sean Payton genuinely was not worth a first round pick. Like,
yeah, dude.
Broncos are in hell. Like, just what else can you say?
We got.
Hang on, I gotta add this one. Justin Fields. I'm sorry I missed this earlier. This was 5 minutes ago. Okay. Justin Fields' revenge arc loading up. Ernie, my brother, I love you. I don't know you, but I love you. But that is just, I don't think that's happening.
I don't know. I wanted the Bears to be good. I picked them to beat the Packers week 1. I was like, and it's just not happening. They got to get that first win. This is about as good of an opportunity as they're going to have ever this season. We got 4 0-3 teams in the NFL, and we get and they're all playing each other. We get 2 0-3 matchups that are like incredibly difficult to pick, and it's like, who is going to be worse here? Like, and yeah, those ones were a little bit tough for me to pick.
Yeah, but Sean Payton, like, the defense did not look ready, not even competent. in some ways. Like the tackling looked bad, the linebackers were not filling gaps.
I will defend that defense in one regard, and it's not something that's being talked about because of what the margin of the victory was. That game was played in Miami, and the way Miami Stadium is set up, the sun shines on the away sideline and like the away like 100 section. So if you ever go to a game there, make sure you buy a ticket on the home side. Don't ever sit on the away side in that stadium.
you
And a lot of
could.
people, and the tickets are cheaper over there, and away fans are like, oh, we'll sit by our bench, and they get people that way. But anyways, it's like 20 or 30 degrees hotter on their away sideline, and that had a lot to do with why the Bills lost last. People,
Yeah.
and it's not even because they have shade on their side. That's the way it's. And like you talk about, like, when it's like a snow game, both teams have to play in it. In their stadium, they're the only team that has the shade. The other team is in the sun. And so especially in the third and fourth quarter, that sun wears you out, especially early in the season.
That's
But
crazy.
anyway, that's all. The ball don't lie. 70-20. That's the final score.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, against backups, like how was Pat Surtain getting cooked by Robbie Chosen
Mm-hmm.
on a deep post?
Yeah,
Like,
that
why
was a
is
really
Surtain even in the game that long? You're losing. Like, what are you trying to prove, Sean? There's nothing left. You got wrecked.
Yeah, I can't believe Pat Surtain got cooked like that all day.
Well,
And,
like you said, he's out there running go routes freaking all day. That's just insanity. All right, let's move into the slate. We've been moaned this week enough. So Thursday night game, Lions again, another Thursday night primetime slot, and they play the Packers. So NFC North slugfest. Who do you like in this and why?
This is there were just a bunch of tough games to pick this week. I felt like, and this was one of them because you can really make an argument for either one of these teams. And preseason, I picked the Lions to win this division, and not by much. And these are the kind of games you gotta win if you're going to win this division. And it's going to be tough to go into Lambeau. But I think I'm going to take the Lions here.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too. One reason is because the Lions have such a good offensive line. I'm not sure, like I'm trying to look up how many sacks and quarterback hurries Green Bay Packers are generating right now, like defensively. I'm not seeing a ton. I should have looked this up. They have 3 sacks on the season. So, that's not super great. I don't think Lucas Van Ness is quite panning out like people had hoped. So I have some concerns. D-line versus O-line. We talk about these games being won in the trenches. Offensively, I think that very much favors the Lions. So I'm also taking Lions here, but I do expect this to be more high scoring than some of these other games on the slate for this week. So I think that'll be a good, primetime matchup. And yeah, I think the Packers fall to, what would that be, 2-2 for them? 2-2, and the Lions going to rise to 3-1 and kind of establish a bit of a lead with a divisional win as well.
That's how I agree.
So next we have Battle of the Mid over in London, 8:30 a.m. for those of you that, what is that? That's 9:30 your time?
9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, 6:30 on the West Coast. So nobody over there is watching this game, hopefully.
Correct.
Falcons, Jaguars. So we'll see if Trevor Lawrence plays better in a different country. And we'll see if Bijan can pick it back up, which, to be honest, I think he will. So I'm actually taking the Falcons in this matchup. I don't trust the Jaguars. I think they'll bounce back, but I don't think it'll be enough. And I just think that the Falcons can play bully ball a little bit more sustainably than the Jaguars can. And I don't think you have to be good quarterback to throw on this defense. So,
yeah, I think this Falcons team is going to be a really tough road team because they're the way you said bully ball, I think is the perfect, synopsis, like in a nutshell, that's what this team is, and that's going to travel like that run game, and it's going to be tough. The Jags generally do play very well in England, and I feel like they're reeling right now. I mean, your Texans just took it to them last week, and I think that the Jags are going to be hungry enough to win this game, and I think it will be very close.
Yeah, I think it will too. But I mean, special teams is one area I think they looked really bad. Like, I don't know, their kicker does not look like he has any juice right now. Andrew Beck returned an 85-yard touchdown. A 255-pound fullback ran a touchdown back on them. So I don't have great optimism that they're going to match up well with some of the speed returners that the Falcons have. I just think it's going to be a little bit of a mismatch all day, and they're just going to wear them down.
It's entire. This could be a really massive game for Bijan because it's like, just like like what they say in the playoffs and like in cold weather, like what travels. That's running game and defense. Those are the things that travel, and it's going to be the same kind of. It's almost like playing. I feel like playing these European games. It's almost like a playoff atmosphere because it's just like so like for both teams, like the spectacle of it all. And it was something that Tom Brady was saying to the rest of the Buccaneers last year when they played the game in Munich, that this is going to be a game that you're going to remember the rest of your life. Like when you have a long enough career and you're playing 7 and 10 years, you probably don't remember every single game, but playing those like international games, there's not that many of those that you're going to get to play in.
Yeah,
So,
and everybody shows up in every jersey imaginable, and they're just so excited to be there. Like, international games have such good energy, and we gave them Falcons, Jaguars. I'm so sorry to all our international NFL fans. I'm so sorry.
yeah, it's not really a super like sexy like fixture as they say in England, but I think that this game is going to turn out to be a really good one in the fourth quarter. So that, and we'll see. And they get Jags Bills next week, and those were two playoff teams last week. So we'll see how.
So moving on to noon slate on Sunday, we've got the Rams Colts matching up. This is another really tough one for me.
I agree.
2-1, 1-2, both teams playing better than I think anyone really anticipated.
Yep.
And then mix in with that, like Anthony Richardson might be back, and it's kind of harder to judge because his sample size is smaller.
Yep. This was a tough one. You can make an argument both ways. Where are you going?
So you can pick against me?
I'll go first if you want.
I think I'm taking Colts in this matchup.
I'm taking Rams.
So I'm leaning towards. I picked against them because I hate the Colts. But I just feel like they've been playing the right way. I feel like Shane Steichen's going to do a really good job prepping for this game and for Aaron Donald especially. And at some point, I just feel like the talent, like the Colts have a really good defense, as much as I hate to say it. Like, those boys came to play this year. So I think I'm going to take the Colts, but I think it's a close game, like fourth quarter.
Yep. I agree. This is going to be a game in the fourth quarter. And this is another like kind of case of them like the Rams coming off a loss, like we're in a game that they could have won, and the Colts are just coming off a really tough overtime like win, and that they earned against the Ravens. I don't know anyone who is picking the Colts to beat the Ravens right now. The Ravens, but it's early in the season. We see that happen. We see the Cowboys go down to the Cardinals, and so these kind of things can happen at this part of the season. The Chiefs lost to the Colts last year and went on to win the Super Bowl right around this same time of year.
Yep.
So, and I think that the Rams are gonna rebound from this loss, and I feel like Colts, have gotten 2 quality victories, and it's hard to play bring it again like after an overtime game. Like, it's very like emotionally draining, and I'm gonna say the Rams get out to an early lead in this game and get to run the football and control the clock and play their brand of football. But I don't think that the Colts are getting blown out. This is going to be a game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I agree. And then we get right into another tough matchup. Ravens Browns is our next game. I feel like the Ravens have looked worse than I've expected, and the Browns defense has looked incredibly better. So also trying to figure out what to do with that. So Ernie says Colts 21-13. I think I'm very much in line with that. I'd probably go like 21-16 or something closer. But yeah, I think it'll come down to a touchdown drive by either team.
I think I'd say 24-21 Rams.
Yeah, Ravens Browns. So obviously the Ravens offense is taking some time to gel under their new offensive coordinator, and the Browns defense is humming and as much as they could early. So man, this is another tough one for me. I think I'm going to go with the Browns in this matchup.
That's what I heard you saying. We're going to have very different records this week, Louis, for better or for worse, because I'm taking the Ravens here. And I mean, my picks are kind of in line with the same thing. Like, I think a lot of these teams are going to rebound from these losses that they just took, and I like this Ravens team, and
I feel like
we'll see this Browns team. I mean, they lost to the Steelers, and I don't know. How do you feel about the Steelers? Do you think the Steelers are a good team? We thought they were going to be
okay team, but to be honest with you, it was a couple big plays I think that got away from them. The fact that the Titans just could not run the ball. And the Ravens left tackle and center, to my knowledge, are still out. Like Ronnie Stanley went down in the first game, and then what's his name? Creed Humphrey. He's on the Chiefs. Who is it? Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah.
I think he's been kind of banged up too, and it's just hard. Like, how do you guard Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett? It's wild.
They do have a heck of a pass rush. Yeah,
I'm taking the team that forced the Titans to take multiple false start penalties because they had two tight ends following Myles Garrett from corner to corner. Like, I don't know. They're just playing different. I do think, again, this one will be close. Could go either way. Like, I don't feel good about the pick, but it's the one I'm rocking with. So I think we get into an easier one next. That's Vikings-Panthers. This game is at Carolina. 2-0-3 teams. I don't know the status of Bryce Young for this game. But I will say, interesting tidbit, speculation, right, on a Tuesday, 5 days out. They signed Trevor Siemian, I think, to their active roster.
The Jets signed Trevor Siemian.
Was it the Jets? The Panthers were just looking at signing somebody. I was reading that report right before this. So I'm wondering if there's a chance that Bryce's knee injury might be a little worse than they're letting on. I've seen ankle, I've seen knee, both as reported for him. So, I thought that Andy Dalton did a fine job pushing this offense around and really feeding Adam Thielen. But I think the reality is just that this Panthers defense is not going to hold up against a Vikings offense with three viable superstar targets and Kirk Cousins playing at an absolutely ridiculous level.
I mean, all three of their wide receivers and their tight end probably going to have Cam Akers this week. I've played with them on Madden. The Vikings are a terror on Madden, and it's kind of a marvel that they're like struggling the way they are. And I would definitely say that of the 4-0-3 teams, they are the best one, and they're going to start winning some games here. And I think that this is where that happens. I'm with you on this one, like Vikings over Panthers.
I'm sad. This is a game to me that I would love to see Bryce Young start in, because I think a softer defense would give us a better feel for how he's actually playing. So hopefully he gets a start here, but either way I have the Vikings. So then we move into Bengals Titans. It's at Nashville. I'm pretty sure. At Tennessee. So again, I don't know how to feel about this game either. Like, Bengals won, but they don't look great. Offense does not look together, but the Titans look bad. Like, the offensive line is looking worse as the weeks go on. Tannehill just looks like he has no answers. Derrick Henry hasn't broken a tackle yet in 2023. I think he had like 11 forced missed tackles by week 4 last year, something crazy like that. So obviously things are looking down in Nashville, which obviously puts them in a weird position after having drafted quarterbacks 2 years in a row. And now people are talking about you being in the position to draft a quarterback again. So I guess we'll see where they end up. But I think I'm taking Bengals in this matchup.
Yeah, it's got to be the Bengals here, man. Bengals started 0-2 last year, and they're not looking great, but they're not just gonna fall over. We know who this team is, and this Titans team. I don't know. It's kind of got an interesting build to it, but I think they got to turn. I think Tannehill is cooked at this point. I don't know what they're proving. They got to let Malik Willis or Will Levis have a chance here, and at least see what they got.
If you lose this next week, right? Hang on. We'll just we'll take a brief intermission from our picks here and just let's talk about this team. I think one of the more interesting teams kind of going into this year. So let me read you their schedule moving forward. So they play the Bengals, then they play division rival Colts at Indianapolis. And we're going to be honest, the Colts have looked better than the Titans. Then they play the Ravens. Going to lose that game probably. You play the Falcons. Good chance you lose that game too. Then you play Steelers, who will absolutely obliterate the Titans if TJ Watt's still playing. Then you've got Bucks, Jags, Panthers. Probably win a couple of those. Play the Colts again. Play the Dolphins. Close the year playing 3 of 4 divisional games. Texans twice, Jags again, and Seahawks. So there's a real chance that this team is looking at like 1 or 2 more wins this season. And so at what point are you pulling the plug on Tannehill? Like you said, like we have 2 rookie quarterbacks really who've hardly seen any snaps. Like when are we gonna try him out?
Yeah, I would say sooner rather than later, but I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah, and I think it's tough because a lot of it is just the offensive line. Like you draft a guy really high, I think he's going to be good, but he's a guard. And so much of what happens in the NFL is dependent on tackle play, and they just don't have good tackle play. So, when you have less than 2 seconds to throw or your running back's getting contacted in the backfield, there's only so much you can do in those situations. Yeah. So, shout out to all our Titans fans. Sorry you're having a rough time. I don't think it's going to get better. Next, we have the Buccaneers and the Saints. Battle of the NFC South. Jameis Winston revenge game. I love me a good revenge game.
Yeah, what's up with Derek Carr? Sprained AC joint?
Let's see if they've officially diagnosed. That's what I was hearing. It says, yeah, it's looking like something with his shoulder. Yeah. His sprained AC joint, he's currently week to week, but they said they're going to be cautious with him. So it is assumed that he will not play week 4, but his injury is not as bad as originally feared.
See, this is why I got the game with the Rams and Bengals wrong too last week. Is Joe Burrow was questionable, and I was like, well, I don't think Joe Burrow is going to play, so I'm going to pick the Rams, and that's pretty much what it comes down to here. I mean, so if Derek Carr is playing, I mean, I picked the Saints to win this division preseason, and so it should they should be the pick, but it doesn't look like he's going to play, so I'm going to go with the Bucks, and I'm also going to go with Mike Evans to win this round against Marshawn Lattimore.
The famed rivalry, man. Pull the gloves out. Love it. I went to a game last season in New Orleans, and they got into it when Lattimore pushed Tom Brady, and then Mike Evans came flying.
Tom Brady's made man. You can't touch Tom.
Yeah, everybody knows. I also have the Bucks in this. I just think the Saints line is looking bad. Like Trevor Penning is just not looking like a good pick. And I think the Bucks, especially Todd Bowles, has really good blitz packages and things in store, I think, for this Dennis Allen-led Saints. So give me the Bucks by a small margin. But I think, like a clutch Baker performance with a nice Chris Godwin catch to finish it off really puts this one away. Or James throwing an untimely pick. One of those two things is going to happen. Next game of the week, Dolphins-Bills. How is this a noon game? Even before the season, how was this
1 p.m. game? Oh, we were starting to talk about this earlier, so I'm glad you asked that question. In regards to we were starting to talk about the flex scheduling, and then I talked about something else. But so yeah, flex scheduling doesn't start until next week. Even if it did, game because they're already on a shorter week with them traveling to London. So because they're going to be going on Thursday night. So like they're trying to get home like and pretty much like start like getting ready for the next game because they're gonna be missing a day with the extra travel and getting ready and then getting ready to the time change over there.
Very true.
So it is what it is, man. And honestly, like the Bills weren't always a primetime team for me growing up, and we always had 1 p.m. games. And then recently, we got Josh Allen, and now every other week it seems like we're in prime time. And 1 p.m. is my favorite kickoff time of all
football watching time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the pizza hits the doorstep like 10 minutes before kickoff. Click on red zone on like a little on your screen over here, and then your main game. It's just there's no feeling like it.
You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait all night for it. And yeah, the team's like having like a specific routine with it, and that's what. But anyways, Bills fans, want me to go first? You want to go first?
Yeah, I know who you're picking.
Yeah, I know who you're picking. But we'll talk about you're gonna win. Josh Allen has lost 2 games against the Dolphins in his career. It's been about 10 or 11 matchups. One of them was last year by 2 points because Isaiah McKenzie couldn't get out of bounds, and we were in field goal range. But he didn't get out of bounds. We ran out of time, and when I was at that game, and I heard and like all the Dolphins fans just like counted it down on the clock, and we ran out, and then that was it. And then the other game that he lost was also in Miami, his rookie year. They had a chance to win on the last play, and Charles Clay dropped a pass in the end zone that would have won it. Josh Allen, I want to say in like his 10 or 11 matchups has won AFC Offensive Player of the Week 5 times in those against the Dolphins. They've pretty much been his best clients. He usually plays bad against the Jets and really well against the Dolphins. In his career, passing, not including rushing, he has 27 passing touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And to all of the turnover talk that we've had lately, I think that's gonna be the story. That's gonna be the story of the game, which Josh shows up, and that's gonna be the story of every game for the next 4 or 5 weeks until he shakes it off and just go turnover free for 4 or 5 weeks, and then we won't be talking about it. But so that's what it's gonna come down to, how we do in the trenches, how we match up against their defensive line and vice versa. And I think that our defensive line has been playing outstanding lately. Our defense is really, really like probably the second or third best defense.
You guys had 9 sacks against the Commanders. Is that right?
9 sacks and 4 interceptions.
It's crazy. So I'm gonna shock.
The 3 points they got, they kicked a field goal with like 30 or 40 seconds left.
I'm taking the Bills here.
Hey,
only because I think the Bills are still a good team. I think this week 1 loss is being a little overhyped. And I think what we're looking at is going to be a trap game from the Dolphins. Like, you come off scoring an effortless 70, like some of these players are going to get probably a little full, like you set some records, we're in the history books kind of thing. And I think you just kind of have to take a step back and be like, okay, can they go from that right back to like the grind, like grinding out every yard against a divisional opponent? So in my mind, like, the speed was there, everything worked out really well. And I get that they're really good. I just think the Bills are also really good. So I'm taking the Bills to upset here. And it's in Buffalo. I see these teams splitting this year, so I'm going to give home team. I'm going to defer to home team in both situations. So,
all right, I respect it. I was not expecting you to pick the Bills there.
I know it's a little bit of a change of pace for me, but I think I don't think you drop 70 and then come back and do well in a game that's like 25, 30 points.
You put out a lot of film that way too.
Yeah, they were using trick plays and stuff, and I'm like, you don't need to be putting this film out here right now. Like, there's no reason for it. So
yeah, an interesting tweet I saw from Adam Schefter. We've been saying, we and the announcers the first couple of weeks have been pronouncing it A-Chain. Apparently, he wants it to be pronounced A-Chan.
Oh, like 4chan.
Devon A-Chan.
Devon A-Chan. Okay. We gotta get the man's name right. Put some respect on a 200-yard performance or something crazy like that.
4 touchdowns. So, yeah.
Now, that is not going to happen against the Bills. Like, we're just being realistic. Like, these guys are not going to run. Like, I know everybody wants to start them. I would look long and hard at some of the running backs who've done really well going against this Bills D and tell me you feel great starting.
The Bills defense had 33 points last week. Would have been even more had they not kicked that field goal with like 30 seconds left.
Yeah. Now we get to the dumpster fire teams of the week. Broncos, Bears, our other 0-3 teams.
Tough one to pick.
I'm taking Broncos. It's not even a question for me. I think
they have to.
Sean Payton is cooked, official, but he calls a mean defense, and I think he's gonna pull out all the stops. Like, he's tired of the media criticism, and he's just gonna like beat the lights, like the brakes off of a senseless Bears team, and they're just gonna go to town. Like, he doesn't care if Russ cooks or not. Like,
they should. Then they get the Jets next week, which is going to be an emotional game with that's the Nathaniel Hackett revenge game.
Yeah, so, and I also think he's got to get that. Yeah, he's got to right the ship before he has to have that.
Yeah, he has to win, dude. Like, after a week like that, like, dude, he has got to have that whole team in absolute hell this entire week.
Bro, the bear crawls that had to happen at practice today,
yeah,
unreal, man. So, yeah, I don't have a lot to say here other than that Justin Fields looks severely regressed. And the Bears, like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
They have no identity, like, at all. Just it's sad because they have some talented players, too. And it's just like they're just, like, hapless.
Yep. So, if you're also taking Broncos?
Yeah, it's got to be the Broncos. Like, if Sean Payton loses this game, dude, his seat is going to start getting pretty hot pretty quick, the way he's been talking.
Not wrong. All right, next we have the Commanders Eagles. This is another easy pick for me. Yeah. I like kind of what the Commanders are doing, but 9 sacks by the Bills defense, and Jalen Carter and man, I feel, how am I not putting respect on this other kid? What was his name that went last year first round for them? The big DT. Jordan Davis
out of Georgia, yeah.
They're just going to eat on that interior, like unprecedented. Not unprecedented, but it's going to be crazy. So Sam Howell, he's a big play guy. He likes to sling it. He likes to see the deep ball go in. It didn't work super well against the Bucks for the Eagles last night, and I don't think it's going to go super well for the Commanders against the Eagles on Sunday. So I'm taking the Eagles by a good margin here.
Yeah, I got the Eagles here too. I was looking at the Eagles schedule recently, earlier today. When I say recently, because someone out there on Twitter had put out a poll. There's 3 undefeated teams left: the Dolphins, the Niners, the Eagles. Which team is going to go the longest before they before losing a game? And then people are talking, and then people are talking about, oh well, this is the best team, and I'm like, well, those are 2 different questions. Which is the best team and who's going to be the last to lose? And I think the Eagles are going to be the last to lose. Looking at their schedule, I think they win the next like 2 or 3 games, and then their schedule gets absolutely brutal in the back half. And like they go from like the Cowboys to the Bills, or they play the Dolphins before that.
Dolphins, yeah. So the next 3 weeks,
rattle it off. It's insane.
They've got Commanders this week. They've got Rams next week, and they have the Jets the week after that.
They win those games.
Then they go Dolphins at home.
Could lose.
Road game again against the Commanders. So you're looking at like what? They're 3-0 right now.
Commanders game is a trap game too. I'm taking I'm going to take the Eagles in this one. Things can change week to week, but I like the Commanders in that trap game.
Yeah. Then they take Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys again.
Yep.
Before they get into their easy back half of the schedule, which they play Seahawks in December, which I don't love. It's probably a tighter game than we want. That's going to come down to hot hand, I think.
How insane!
Close it off, Giants and Cards.
Yeah. After I think they should win these next 3. They need to, because they're going to get into that stretch of games, and if they go 500, they will have done pretty well.
Yeah, completely agree. And I mean, like, yeah, they're going to have to put some points on the board. So we're both going to Eagles here.
Yes.
Then we get into my game of the week. Steelers, Texans, J.J. Watt's Ring of Honor ceremony, NRG rocking at home.
Going to be a good one.
I think this will be a good game. I think you have a competent defensive, not a competent, and a Hall of Fame, right? Defensive head coach in Mike Tomlin. To me, there's question marks on the Steelers offense.
Yeah.
It hasn't looked great. And I would say that theoretically that the Jaguars have a better, or should have a better offense. And D'Amico and his defensive plan held them very, very strongly on Sunday. And then we're getting Jalen Petrie back. So we'll have both starting safeties for the first time this season. My only concern is still this offensive line. Like, they played okay last week, played good last week, no sacks, but that's not going to happen against Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt. So I can't not pick them after last week's performance. So I'm going Texans, but I don't feel good about it.
I respect it, bro. And it's honestly not a terrible pick either. I got to take the Steelers out of respect for Mike Tomlin. I've been consistent with my tune out of my respect for Mike Tomlin, and I think this is going to be one of those close games, and it's going to come down to like the situational football. And D'Amico Ryans just isn't proven yet. Not that he's a bad coach. We know he knows ball, and it's just and this could be one of those games where he changes my mind, but I'm gonna defer to the experience here and take this Steelers team to win this game in a close one, another one that's going to be coming down to the last possession.
The biggest thing my biggest takeaway here is J.J. Watt's Ring of Honor ceremony, I think, will bring more fans into NRG than they would normally have at a home game, and I think that may give some advantage here.
Do they sell out there or not normally?
Do they what?
Do they normally sell out their games there? No,
we haven't done that in years.
Really?
Yeah. It's been a rough patch for us, but I also, like, because we have extra time, just the two of us this week, I'm going to stop real quick and touch on the Texans schedule here. and I want you to talk me out of the idea that we could win a set of these next games. Steelers this Sunday.
Okay.
Falcons the week after that. Saints the week after that. Panthers after that. Bucks after that.
Yeah, a lot of those teams have quarterbacks who are on the injury report right now, and it's gonna have a lot to do with how that looks. Just continue to go game by game, but those are all games that you're gonna have a chance to win in, and we're gonna find out a lot about this team and what kind of coach DeMeco Ryans really is week over week, and that was something I was talking about an episode or two ago, is that we always look at these teams in the lens of the game that we're watching and what's coming up, but and what we see the teams in the moment, but we really got to kind of look at what the teams are week over week over week, and we're gonna find out. CJ Stroud, is he gonna, if he wants to be offensive rookie of the year, he's gonna win at least half of those games.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a real chance. My prediction before the season was I think I said 8-9 or something like that. I'm not feeling bad about it. This Jaguars game was not one that I had a win on. I had a win on the Colts game before it. So technically 1-2 is right where I was expecting to be. So we're coming into a pretty winnable stretch here. Cardinals in a couple weeks, Broncos, Titans twice at the end of the season. This feels better than it has in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Taking a game at a time, and maybe we'll see. All right. I've seen from CJ Stroud and Tank Dell putting the whole league on notice.
My boy. I was so excited about that pick. Staying in the H. All right. Moving into this next set, we have the tale of the 1 and 2s, Raiders and Chargers. I hate both of these, to be honest. Again, two teams severely underperforming. Devontae Adams versus Keenan Allen is really going to be the story of this game to me. I'm taking
hopefully they both stay healthy.
I'm taking Raiders here. I took them last week. I think playing that good against the Steelers defense, and then you get the Brandon Staley defense, please. I'll take Raiders here. I think this is a Jacobs get right game. I think this is another Devontae Adams cook game. And I think the Chargers put up a good set of points against the Raiders, but that Chargers defense is hard to overlook.
Yeah, this is another tough one. I think that I like the Chargers team on paper better here, but can this team really win 2 games in a row? Yeah.
And Mike Williams is out for the season.
Yep. Josh Palmer stepping in here.
So you're telling Josh Palmer or Quentin Johnston, right?
Eckler is supposed to be back. Having Eckler back in the lineup will make a massive difference.
It will.
I'm gonna take the Chargers here, and I don't feel great about it.
We're gonna keep this split going.
Yes.
All right, Cardinals, Niners. I think this is an easy pick. Josh Dobbs. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Niners all the way. Cardinals can't undersell.
Great job getting the dub against the Cowboys, guys. But
yeah, to be honest, I think all that has done is I think Kyle Shanahan's going to put in an extra 5 hours of prep this week.
Yeah,
and that's not what
they're
going to say, don't lose this game.
Yeah, I think the Niners win pretty handily here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Josh Dobbs dealing against a defense this good. I think the Cardinals defense will come to play, but again, you're going to have Ayuk back. You're going to be playing CMC. Just the CMC, personnel's not here.
He's been unstoppable so far. Another guy, knock on wood. I hope CMC stays healthy because, boy, oh boy, he's really having himself a season.
Yeah, carrying my paid fantasy league. Then we got Patriots Cowboys. I think this is absolutely a revenge game for the boys. So, Shane, this one's for you. I'm calling Cowboys by a touchdown plus. Lamb.
Revenge for Zeke,
huh?
Revenge game for Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, sure. Revenge game for Zeke. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Micah Parsons has a game here. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't like this Patriots O line. I think Ramondre actually has a pretty good game because they'll be kind of hyper focused on the receiving core, but I just don't think it's enough. So I'm taking Cowboys.
same, brother. Yeah, it's got to be the Cowboys. I think they're a team. I mean, following this Cardinals loss, and like it's a bad loss. It's an NFC loss too, and it's going to be one of those like tiebreaker losses because of like common opponents and all the other teams that will have beaten them. But I think that it could actually turn out to be a good thing. Sometimes these early season losses, because then like it actually forces you to like look yourself in the mirror and be like,
We're not as good as we thought we were. Yeah.
that, that's the NFL, man. Have you heard of that or not? But people like talk about this game or that game. Like, if you do not come prepared, you're gonna lose. It doesn't matter. And I think the Cowboys are gonna really be coming out hungry these next couple weeks because of this loss. And I would not want to be playing the Cowboys this weekend.
I completely agree. 2 more games to go. Chiefs Jets. I think this is another really easy pick for us. Running it back with the Chiefs.
Yep.
They massacred the Bears. I don't know that the Chiefs offense will be as proficient in this, but their defense, it looks good this year. And I think Zach Wilson is going to have himself a very bad week and he will get benched. So that's where I'm at.
Yep. Jets might be on Kirk Cousins' watch.
If the Vikings lose this week, I think you're genuinely looking about how do we retain core pieces like Justin Jefferson. But I think you look at maybe like, am I married to TJ Hawkinson? Like I gave him a nice contract. Maybe I eat some of that and send him off for a second. You know, can I send Kirk off for a first? Can I do any of this stuff? Like those kind of things just aren't going to play in their favor. And yeah, the Jets' sense of urgency, you have some young players on some young contracts, and those windows don't hold forever. Garrett Wilson, Sauce, you got to pay those guys here in a couple years. And
I'm pretty sure this is the last year of Kirk's deal. And honestly, I mean, if the Jets brought him in for just as a rental, they probably get him for decently cheap. He's got a pretty big contract.
Yeah,
compensation would be like on that, but
and
they could still be a playoff team with Kirk Cousins on that team.
He's playing at an MVP level right now, and I don't think your receiving core takes that much of a hit moving from Justin Jefferson to Garrett Wilson. Heck, I'd package my first for him and Hawkinson and add in something else. Like, if you're going to go all in, go all in. What do we care? Get him in here. Last game of the schedule, Monday night next week, Seahawks Giants. How are we feeling?
I am going to need to see the Giants win a game by like 2 or 3 possessions before I'm willing to pick them to beat anybody right now. Seahawks, not a perfect start to the season. I mean, only a few teams have that, but they actually look like a competent team to me right now, and I can't say the same about the Giants.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing here is Kenneth Walker looks great. MSU guy, so shout out Kenneth Walker. Family roots run deep. And Kayvon Thibodeau looks horrible. He's got one of the lowest pass rush win rates in the league. He has games where he hasn't recorded a single tackle. Like, this Giants D-line was supposed to be a strength, and it's not. And I think they're going to get run on pretty heavily on Monday Night Football. So, yeah, I'm also taking the Seahawks here. So, we've got just a couple minutes left to wrap up here. If there's any other thoughts you wanted to leave this week, I would say what team do you think would benefit the most from from Caleb Williams? Right now, the Bears have the highest odds because they have the Panthers pick and their own, and both teams are 0-3, and we both picked those teams to be 0-4. So they would be literally pick 1 and 2 going into week 5.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, so we have the Bears have the Panthers pick, and then what's the other one? The Texan. You guys traded your pick to the Cardinals.
The Cardinals have our pick, and the Cardinals are 1-2, and we're 1-2.
So yeah, that's pretty crazy to think about. Who's going to benefit the most from Caleb Williams? It's kind of hard to say right now. Maybe the Vikings.
Yeah, I would say Vikings feel like the most instant start kind of team, like hot start.
I don't know if they're going to be able to get that pick. They're really gonna have to turn a lot of their assets to do that, and then
what they should do is re-sign Kirk, pull a, maybe like Falcons, and then take Marvin Harrison Jr. or an elite running back. Just stack up on skill positions and say frick everything else.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you know the drill, guys. Leave your comments, your thoughts as you watch this video. Let us know who you think deserves Caleb Williams, and tell me why the Texans shouldn't win on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you say TJ Watt forced that game, I'll ban you. All right. That's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in for Fifth Down Territory presented by StadiumRant. Light week on our hosts, but you know what? Blake and I always got you guys for the best round. Also, I think we're automatically giving Shane and Tyler an automatic 0-16 rank for next week.
Yeah, they game wrong. They didn't get. I mean, they didn't get a single one right. I can say
maybe we'll let the fans pick for them. Let us know if you guys like that. We'll post it on StadiumRant Twitter.
An auto draft.
You guys get the auto draft for him. So, also shout out Tyler. He's he's the fantasy guru, and yet most of his teams are sucking in all the leagues I'm in with him. So, not as advertised. Just taking shots because they're not here tonight. Okay, well, at least one Texas team won, Shane. So, take solace in that. All right, guys, that's it for us. Have a great night.
Later, brother.